Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I am teacher turned homeschool mom to two little girls, and on this channel I talk about everything from homeschooling, motherhood, and everything in between. And today I wanted to talk about how to get started homeschooling. So this is a requested video, and one of my friends requested it, and I thought I would address it and talk about it because there might be helpful to other people who are interested in homeschooling. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do when you get started homeschooling is figure out why. Figure out what your goal is and why you want to homeschool. And this is not going to be the same for everyone, you know. It's going to be similar, but at the same time, you have your own ideas as to why you want to and why homeschooling is a good fit for your family. I just feel like that's an important step in consciously understanding what you're doing. You know, sometimes, I mean, let's say you just got started homeschooling and you're doing dandy, and homeschooling is not a fun road. There are sacrifices you make, you know, there's struggles, there are mental stress that you go through. So it's not like this I mean, it is a wonderful experience because it's a different experience. It's completely different than, you know, schooling and the schooling routine and stuff. This is something you just develop so many relationships with your family, and you just have a different perspective on everything. But you have to know why you're doing it. If you have this conscious understanding of why you do it, when it gets tough, you know, when times get tough or you're feeling like, what am I doing and why am I doing it? You go back to the statement. You go back to your understanding of why I homeschool. Why do I do what I do? What is my ultimate goal? You know, what am I trying to do by homeschooling? Because it's not an easy journey. And when you get stuck and you have those times where you're rethinking it and you're trying to figure out, what did I get myself into, you go back to these goals and you go back to the why, and you figure, and that brings you that calm, and that brings you back to you know, the page that you're on, and it brings you, and it centers you, you know, it brings you back to your understanding of, or your goals and what you want to accomplish with homeschooling. Okay, the next thing to do is find out your state's requirements. Every state is different, and every state, you know, every state is different in their requirements, and every state has, some states have more stricter requirements and some states have more lenient requirements, you know. So find out what the requirements are in your state. I'm going to link down below, for at least for the US, I will have a link for the website that has a list of requirements for each state. I can't think of the website right now, but I know it's there. So the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out your philosophy. And what I mean by that is that when you, they teach you when you're teaching, you know, in teaching school or whatever, in teaching courses, they teach you to figure, you have to have a philosophy and a methodology of teaching. So your philosophy is who you are. You know, how do you teach? How do you want to teach? You know, and you have to make sure that how you want to teach is compatible with the way that your children learn. You know, because every child is different, and I've learned that some ways of teaching will work with one child but will not work with the other child. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, because you can cater to their own needs. You know, you can cater to the needs of each child. So figure out what your philosophy of teaching is, how you teach and how your children will learn. And so, like, for example, I'll give you a couple of my friend Precious Years has a great video that I will link down below if you guys want to know more about the different teaching styles and stuff, but I will just list a few over here. So there's online virtual school or virtual learning. You know, you do it through the computer, basically. It's computer based. Then there's classical learning, there's unit studies, there's project based learning, there's also Charlotte Mason, there's Waldorf, there's unschooling, there's just using textbooks, you know, just the regular textbooks that you have at school and replicating school at home, you know, which works for some families. So, and then there's also an eclectic mix. An eclectic mix is basically like you pick and choose from everything, which is kind of where we're falling, I think. But you pick and choose from different methodologies of teaching, I mean, different philosophies of teaching, and you take what you want and what fits your household and what fits your home and your way of teaching and your way of, and your kids' way of learning. And so, so yeah, so go back to that. You figure out what your philosophy of teaching is. Then figure out what your methodology is, and your methodology is how you want to teach. You know, how do you, what tools do you want to use? And part of those tools is your curriculum. Our curriculum is, regardless of whether it's a box curriculum or it's an open curriculum, and you get to pick what you want. A curriculum is a tool. It is by no means the only way to do it, and like I gotta do it this way. It's a tool. Use it to your benefit. Use it to the benefit of your family. You know, a lot of times people get stuck in the way the curriculum is designed and the way things are meant to be, like meant to be in that in the book or the instructor's manual and stuff. And we do not need to do that. And I highly recommend people not to do that. Cater it to your own children. Cater it to your own family's needs and your needs, because at the end of the day, it is just a tool. It is a tool for teaching. So I said that we need to figure out why we teach. You got to figure out your state's requirements, your philosophy. I got a list here, by the way. Your philosophy of teaching, your methodology, what things you want to use. Do you want to use worksheets? Do you want to make it more open-ended? Do you want to use a blackboard or a whiteboard and use like a lecture method? Do you want to do more discussions? You know, so those types of things. Or do you want to just stick with a curriculum, what the curriculum says? Even when you use a curriculum, there's different ways of catering it to your family. And then the next thing you want to do is create a space. Now, when I say a space, it does not have to be a homeschool room. It can be a space that you use for homeschooling. And what that really, the reason why you want to do that is because you want your children to know that when they come into that space or they start that routine, they are homeschooling. So naturally, when you go, like for my kids, I'll tell you, when they come into the homeschool room, they know that we're doing school here, and we cannot, you know, we are not getting distracted, because I do want to make sure that, even though I want to make sure learning is fun, I do want to make sure that they have that attention, you know, because attention is a big thing in our in learning. I think learning successfully is, you know, having that attention for that for younger kids for that small amount of time, and it grows as you get older. So creating that space, you know, and it could be a homeschool room, it could just be your dining table, you know, just bringing in your kids and saying, okay kids, you don't even have to announce it and say school started, because I've noticed that when I say, all right guys, let's do school, my kids are like, oh no, I wanted to go play, I want to do something else. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I just get started, but I get started in that space, and they follow me, and they work in that space, because they know that, okay, we're schooling here now, we're doing school. And the older your kids get, the more naturally it'll fall into their routine and their rhythm of the day. And it's good, because if you have younger children, your younger children will just naturally fall into the flow of things, and they'll just naturally flow into your day, and you don't have to train each one separately and say, okay guys, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna do this and that, because they will just naturally fall into the flow of things. So another interesting thing is that my friend Homeschooling in the D, I'm going to link her channel down below. What she has done is that for the next school year, I believe she said that she's going to start doing uniforms. And that's an interesting idea as well, because I feel like when children are, for really, this is just for the children, you know, they need to get into the mindset of school. They need to get into the mindset of we're learning now, you know, and this is not time to, you know, hang out with friends or, you know, be distracted. So once children get that, you know, especially for slightly older children, you know, it becomes a mental readiness for them. Then let's see. Oh, by your curriculum. You know, once you've created your space, once you've created your area where you're going to homeschool or that space of learning, then get your curriculum. There are so many choices out there for curriculum. You guys know that for this year, we're planning on using Bookshark, but Bookshark also has, like, you know, it has preschool all the way up. But then there are so many. You can either choose to go with a box curriculum or you can choose to go with a more open-ended, you know, you choose the subjects basically, you pick what subjects you want to do, and then you you know, find the appropriate curriculums. I'm going to make a video on some of the books that I needed, that I used my first year in teaching and doing homeschool, so that you guys have an idea of what things I went back to and resources I used. So by your curriculum, you know, do your research and read lots of books. You know, as homeschooling moms, you cannot just think of yourself as just, you know, the homeschooling mom. You are, in essence, their educator, and you want to enrich your education as well, regardless of what that means for each person. You know, that can be that could be doing research. I'm constantly doing research online, reading books, because it enriches my mind. And as I learn and as I fill up my cup, I can give to my children. You know, I can impart that knowledge to them. And the more research I do, the more things I find out about education and stuff. And it holds true for all teachers. When you're, as a teacher, you're expected to go through teacher learning programs, you know, teacher development programs, professional development programs, and that is not any different for you as a homeschool mom. You know, enrich yourself, whatever that means for you. You know, if you're more faith-based, then going back to your faith, you know, and if you're more secular, reading up on some of those really good books out there about education and learning, you know, and I'm constantly searching and hunting for books to read to help me develop myself in my understanding and my learning, so that I can help my children. So those are some things that I hope I was helpful in. Some advice I will give, just from like what I've learned, is not to replicate school at home. Just don't do it. And when I say, you know, create that space is still a fun space. It's not a strict, you know, oh, you know, you got to do this in this area, you cannot bring that into this area. You know, make it flexible, make it fun for the kids, you know, but just don't make it school. So one of the other things that I really recommend is to join fellow homeschooling moms, not just in terms of I mean, whether you join them academically and like do activities with them, this up to you, but what I'm saying is to join them in terms of a support system. You have to create or join a support system, because as a homeschooling mom, you need that, you know, when, like I said, when it gets tough, you know, for you to homeschool, or it's starting to wear you down, because it does, you need to be able to reach out to that support group or fellow homeschooling moms who will be able to, you know, you'll be able to talk to them, and you'll be able to get back on track and decide and make decisions that are the best for your family. So I highly recommend reaching out, and you know, if you have some in your community, that is so awesome. But if not, the online the homeschooling community on YouTube, Instagram, and all these other social media outlets are just so amazing. So join in with them, you know, connect with them, so that you feel when it gets tough, you will have a support system to lean on and to pull you back up into, and then going back to those goals really helps, you know, and it pulls you back into homeschooling and doing what you're doing, and you revive yourself back into your routine and your the stuff that you were doing. And the last advice I would give is that please enjoy it. Enjoy the homeschooling experience. And I remind myself that every single day, just to enjoy it, just to take it in, and and enjoy the beauty of being able to teach your kids and have that interaction with them, because it's not it's a very special relationship. It's a very special place to be in. And so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time in another video. Bye.